Extreme physical experiences open a doorway in our soul, if you will, to self-awareness and self-growth. Everybody wants to know, why in the world would you want to run a 100-mile race? That's crazy. My parents tell me all the time, you're making a mistake, it's not a good idea, your knees are gonna hurt so bad when you're older, your body's gonna break down, you're gonna wish you hadn't done this. Well, I'm doing it anyway. I'm not gifted or talented as a runner. I look like a linebacker running around with a bunch of junior high school kids. But the reality is, I don't think modern life is hard enough. I want the challenge. And to me, running a 100-mile race is a challenge that I wanted to take on, and it's a challenge I'm going to continue to take on again in the future. What was it actually like? Honestly, it was, in some ways it was amazing, and in some ways it sucked. I didn't meet my goal. I thought 24 hours honestly was a foregone conclusion, and I wanted to be somewhere closer to 20 than closer to 24. Turns out that was a really unrealistic expectation. This course was harder than I understood, not to mention it was harder than I realized it was going to be to run 100 miles, and it was harder than I realized it was going to be to run through the night. Sleep deprivation was more brutal than I expected it to be. The course was extremely muddy, made it very, very, very slow. It was a tough type of mud. The finishing rate was less than 50% of the people that started that race finished it. If you look at it, it's a historically very slow course, which I just didn't understand what I was getting into like I should have. It is one of the most beautiful places I've ever been, and pushing myself to that extreme did provide me with the kind of experience that I wanted to have, which was one that provided me insight into who I am as a person. I think one of the most valuable insights was in the failure itself. The only time I thought about quitting was when I was embarrassed for how poor my time was going to be. You know, I was running really pretty darn well for 70 miles, and at 70 miles the wheels came off, and that's all I could do was walk for the next 20 miles. And I spent 20 miles walking basically 25 minutes a mile. I was realizing, like, wow, I think I'm gonna come in over 30 hours, and I was embarrassed, like I should just quit. Now that thought entered my mind. I knew there was no way I was gonna do it, but there was a part of me that wanted to save face. And I think in that was really probably the realization, the awakening that I wanted, that I was looking for, which was how important of a tool failure is in life. I think if we're honest with ourselves, in our modern life, our lives are ridiculously easy. I think honestly, we're looking for purpose. We're looking for something difficult to achieve. We're looking something for lofty to strive towards. And for me, running 100 miles is one of those things in which I can find a level of meaning and purpose. It's a micro of the macro for me. The reality is our lives are insanely easy. If you think back, if you're anywhere in the norm of American society or Western society, we have very, very easy lives. Most of us don't have to do anything difficult our entire lives. School, if you're of average intelligence, is easy. You can get through school and you can get pretty darn good grades and you can get into college. Nobody can't get into college. It's not for the elite kids, it's for everyone. Then you go to college. College is pretty easy too. Most people cheat their way through. It's not that hard. You get through college and then the reality of the world hits you and you realize you don't have any skills. You don't have anything to offer the world. And then you come up against essentially what ends up for a lot of people being a quarter-life crisis. Like, wow, now what do I do? I thought that if I got a liberal arts education, I would have my life laid out before me. And it's a myth. And so we go living our lives unconsciously. We just go through the motions of, okay, go to school, play on the sports team, get good grades, go to college, and your life will be laid out before you and it's gonna be easy. And the reality is that doesn't work. That model doesn't work. Running 100 miles is my way of fighting against that and showing people that there's another way. When you go with that model and just go through the motions of doing what you're told, you won't learn about yourself. The way you learn about yourself is through hard, difficult experiences. You learn about yourself by going way out of your comfort zone, getting in a quiet, dark room, or the middle of the night on a trail in a 100-mile race when no one else is around, and having to ask yourself the question, do I have what it takes? What am I made of? So that's really ultimately why I do it. Those types of experience harden you as an individual, and they grow you as an individual. Weak individuals don't have anything to offer society other than a body. I've heard it said that if 100 guys go to war, 90 of them are just targets, 10 of them do all the fighting, but only one is a true warrior. And there's no reason those other 100 can't also be warriors. It's just a matter of the choices they've made. And so I'm trying to make those choices. Though I'm not a soldier, I'm trying to make those choices to be a warrior for my family, for myself, for those around me, to walk the road the way it deserves to be walked, to run the race the way it should be run.